Thank you for joining us once again on another episode of the Blue Flag. Before I start this episode out, on a more serious note, during the race today, Justin Wilson and Sage Karam were involved in a crash. The nose cone of Sage Karam ended up hitting Justin Wilson in the head. He was knocked unconscious. He is currently being transferred, airlifted to a local hospital. As far as we know, he's still not conscious. We have no further updates on his condition, but I will keep you posted on any sort of news that we get from him. But I'll keep you on any sort of news that we get about the condition of Justin Wilson. Please keep him in your thoughts and in your prayers. Let's get into the episode. All right, so the ABC Supply 500 at Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, the Pocono Mountains, a popular tourist destination. And what a wild race this was from start to finish. One of the big highlights is Ryan Hunter-Reay making a huge comeback after struggling all season long and for a lot of last season. The second half of the season got going for Ryan Hunter-Reay after a win at Iowa, which was the last oval that we had before here at Pocono. And he has just gotten his second win of the season here at Pocono. He was very proud to have gotten this win after a lot of struggle this season. And throughout the whole race, you had a lot of Penske, Ganassi, Andretti, Autosport dominance, not Marco Andretti. In fact, he started way back in the field, back in 22nd after a bad qualifying run. He almost crashed during it. But you had drivers like Helio Castroneves, Juan Pablo Montoya, who came back from 15th. Scott Dixon was way up there. Tony Kanaan. And then for Andretti, you had Carlos Munoz, who was strong early in the race, but eventually faded. Then for the other Andretti driver, you had Ryan Hunter-Reay, who, as we mentioned previously, went on to win the race. Now, this race, there were several lead changes. There was a record-breaking 31 lead changes here at the Pocono 500. This record not only encompasses the past few years, but it also encompasses the previous years in the 1980s, 1990s, the 70s also, when Indy cars used to race here. So this was a very record-breaking race in terms of that. Additionally, this race was caution mania. I counted, it was 11 or 12 cautions. Holy crap. That is a lot of cautions, especially for the past few years. 2013, 2 cautions. 2014, 1 cautions. 2015, 11 cautions. Wow. And not only were those cautions taking out a lot of the not as strong drivers, but those cautions took out several of the good drivers. So let's see, it was, I believe, 13 or 14 drivers taken out. It was a good number of them. So Stefano Coletti, Sebastian Bourdais, Jack Hawksworth, Tristan Vautier, Graham Rahal, Tony Kanaan, Marco Andretti, Ed Carpenter, Helio Castroneves, Justin Wilson, who, yes, keep in your prayers, Sage Karam, Charlie Kimball, and Gabby Chavez. All of them involved in crashes. Many of those names are big names, such as Carpenter, Castroneves, Andretti, who was going for a record for... He was going to go for a record because he had completed every single lap this season so far. He was the only driver to have done that. And he was really trying to finish up the whole season with finishing every lap. But unfortunately, he was not able to do that. And Graham Rahal, that's a big talking point because he was going into this race 9 points behind the leader of the championship, Juan Pablo Montoya, who had led all season. But Graham Rahal suddenly had a resurgence starting at Fontana when he got a win there. He also got a win at Mid-Ohio. That's what set him up for today's race, being 9 points behind Juan Pablo Montoya. Unfortunately, he wrecked out and is now 25 points behind Juan Pablo Montoya going into the championship race, but he is not out of it yet. That it will be a double points race in Sonoma, so the first 6 cars in the championship will be in contention for that race. Tony Kanaan was a leader early in the race in the first half of it. He was very strong the whole time. He was running up front for a good majority of it, but unfortunately he wrecked out. Several of the drivers also wrecked out. This was a very interesting race. Several cautions, several of the big names taken out, but a lot of the rookies and a lot of the guys who are the future of IndyCar were also shining today, as we had Sage Karam, who this is his home track. He grew up 30 minutes away in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, along with Marco Andretti. That was their home track, each of them having polar opposite days. Sage Karam running up front and actually working his way up to the front from 20th, and Marco struggling in the lower half of the top 20 for the majority of the race. But yeah, the two of them had polar opposite days, but Sage Karam was the talk of the town. He shined all day. He's the most controversial driver of the series, and after he crashed out with Justin Wilson, the big talk was Gabby Chavez driving for Brian Herta Autosport. Gabby was off strategy trying to get up to the front, which he eventually did several times. He had to get back on strategy when one of the several, and I mean several, yellows came out. But Gabby Chavez and Sage Karam, the future of IndyCar, which I wholeheartedly concur with that term, that it is correct. Those two were shining, and obviously it was a good run for both of them, even though they both ended up crashing out late in the race. In addition to that, this was just a great way to set up for the final race in Sonoma, and I will check one last time before I let you guys go. I'm on a bit of a tight schedule right now. I have to finish something up real quickly. I'll have to, go in a few minutes, but so far there is no update on the condition of Justin Wilson. The last update was 21 minutes ago when it stated that he was heading to the hospital after being knocked unconscious. But just what a race this was. This was amazing. I'm really hoping Pocono gets back on the schedule. It was a good crowd. I could tell they were all clearly entertained. And I gotta say, the NBC Sports Network team is very good. Lee Diffie with absolutely amazing commentary. He is a very stellar play-by-play commentator, and it is just amazing to see what he has done for IndyCar for the past few years. You have Paul Tracy, who was recently added. He was doing absolutely amazing. Then you had Steve, their fellow commentator. Steve was absolutely amazing. He was entertaining. He's been on the crew for a few years now. He's always very informative. He's a decent play-by-play commentator, but it's always entertaining to see him encouraging the drivers to continue and everything. But again, just what a group of guys. But yeah, that's my time. Keep Justin Wilson in your prayers. Let's make sure that nothing happened to him. I'm the broadcaster. Thanks for sticking with us for this first race review. And yeah, I'm the broadcaster signing off.